What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality Podcast. I'm your host. I am Kaitlyn, and today we have a very special guest on. And let me kind of give you a little bit of, not a lot of background, just a little bit on kind of how I know this guy. His name is Chet. He's in our Hidden Summit Facebook community. He is coached by the one and only Eric, and you're pretty new to the group, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. When did you join the Hidden Summit community?
Oh, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's fresh. He's fresh. But the reason why I wanted to have Chet on the podcast is because we had a webinar a couple weeks ago where we spoke a lot on mindset, where we spoke a lot on why your diet is the reason why you're not losing the weight that you want, and kind of focusing on each other's stories and a lot of defining moments that we have. And he spoke up and he told a lot about, mental health. And I was like, you know what, Chet, I want to have you on my podcast because I want to talk about your mission. I want to talk about your story. And I kind of think that I want to do this the more that I think about it, I want to do this with more Hidden Summit members, because I think that so many of you guys have an incredible story to tell and a reason to why you're in the group. And a lot of us just want to help more people by just sharing our stories. So I wanted to give Chet a little bit of a platform to share how he became who he is today, what he is working towards, and talk about a couple of defining moments that he's had that maybe you can relate to and you can take from and learn a couple lessons from. So, Chet, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hey, thank you for having me. Doing pretty well. Been a long, eventful day, but, making the best of it.
Yeah, you're doing 75 hard right now, right?
Day 51.
Day 51. Is this your first time doing it, or have you done it a couple times?
First time.
First time. So you're going to do phase 1 after this?
Absolutely.
Hell yes. Prepare for those 5-minute cold showers. I'm actually on day 30 of phase 1 right now. I completely forgot what day I was on.
Yeah, I'm already trying to, get a couple of cold showers in throughout the week, just so it's not a complete shock.
Yeah, they definitely don't get easier. Sorry, but
Totally.
So really,
that's the beauty of 75 hours, not 75 easy.
Yeah, I saw, I see it all the time on Instagram. You see 75 easy, 75 medium, and I'm like, this is such bullshit. If you're compromising the program, that's the reason why you're in the position that you're in. But, one thing that I know that kind of connects us a little bit, you're from New York, ain't you?
Oh yeah, Long Island.
Yeah, what part of Long Island you from?
Lindenhurst.
Okay. I'm from, do you know Rockaway Beach?
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Rockaway Beach. Born and raised.
Nice. I used to go to summer camp in the Hamptons at Bayberry.
Nice.
Camp Integrity.
Okay. Yeah, I see, when I first heard you speak up, and when I hear you speak up all the time, I'm like, this dude's from New York, I know it. And then I listened to a little bit of your audio that you sent me, which is incredible. And I'm excited to kind of get into more things. And I was like, this dude's from New York. And then you said it, and I was like, awesome. Where are you at now?
I currently live in Abilene, Texas, where I'm finishing up the end of my dual masters in clinical counseling and marriage and family therapy.
Okay. Yeah. So you're kind of smart. I'm getting it.
Yes. A little.
It's like, yes, and I own that. It's funny because me and Eric are big nerds when it comes to nutrition, and he's like, I love clients like Chet because I can just dive into the nutrition stuff with him, and he's all about it.
Oh yeah.
So my first question.
Yeah, he was geeked up.
Oh yeah.
When he found out that I was a nerd too, he was like, "Oh great."
Yeah, every time I get a client like that, I'm like, fucking great, let's go. Let's dive all the way deep and talk about whatever we want. So it's awesome. And I kind of want to transition now. I want to know your story, Chet. I want you to start from the beginning. I want you to kind of take me and the audience on a journey through your life and kind of a couple of defining moments, if you're good with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can just approach that like I would. I was at the podium, so
yeah, that's what I
I'm an alcoholic, and my name is Chet. God's been doing for me what I could not do for myself since April 22nd of 2011. So I have a little over 11 years and change of continuous sobriety. I was born at a young age to two loving parents. Raised on Long Island, New York, in a nice little 3-story home. Big pool in the backyard, the whole nine. Big barbecues, summer parties, pool parties, the whole nine. My dad was like a well-known member of the community. And he was insanely particular with how the front lawn looked. So every time I had to mow the lawn, I was terrified that I was going to mess it up and I wasn't going to do it correctly, because he was like wicked OCD with like how the line marks were parallel to the sun rays and all this other stuff. And little by slow, I started recognizing his absence in my life and started cultivating friendships with older men in the neighborhood. Unfortunately, one of them happened to be a pedophile, which in turn led to him grooming me with alcohol and cigarettes. I didn't even like cigarettes at the time, but I definitely enjoyed the attention of like having cigarettes to sell on the bus. I can remember selling cigarettes and like blow pops and like ads. And this is like 95, 96, and he was openly gay, which is not nearly as acceptable as it is today. But he started asking me to reveal myself, and like he would give me monetary offers to do so. But I was kind of like skeeved out by it, but I was like, yeah, no thanks. But we could definitely keep drinking. So I kept going over there to drink. And the literature says that the alcohol produces a phenomenon of craving. It's coming back from the powerful, which is absolutely true. Because I continued to put myself in this uncompromising position because I knew that I got to drink. And eventually, I got way too weighted out by it, so I stopped going over there altogether. Fast forward a few months, my father was like, hey, I need you to mow the lawn. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do this right, so I don't do it at all. In my head, I'm thinking, this is going to prevent disaster. It's going to prevent a big argument and like a fight. He didn't see it that way. He was just disappointed that I didn't even make the attempt to do it. He yelled at me, said I was worthless and I was always going to be a piece of shit, So I'm like, yeah, I need to just get hammered. So I go over to Charlie's, and he's like, yeah, come on in. Handed me a big yellow cup that I thought was vodka and Sprite, but definitely something else in there. Next thing I know, I wake up, and he's got the weight of his forearm on the side of my face to where he's got this film on to get me where he needs me to be. Does what he wants to do. And he tells me, when I want this to happen again, it'll happen. Or I'm going to let everyone know how like you're my little boyfriend, and that's that. Well, I wasn't really trying to have any of that. So I was like, I'm pretty sure this is illegal and that you'll go to jail for this. He was like, yeah, but before I do, I'll be sure to let all your little friends know what's going on here. I couldn't have any of that. So I was like, yeah, sure, I guess I'll just have to come over then. And he told me how he was going to set that up. He would hold out a certain number of figures to indicate what time he wanted me to come by that evening. And that's what I did for like 3 months. And I finally got sick of it. After, multiple suicide attempts, from the shame and the horror of being convinced that everyone in school knew, and that's why they were picking on me. Not knowing the kids are just fucking assholes. But, I convinced myself that everybody knew, and they were so ashamed of me and so sad for me that they just made fun of me for it. But nobody knew. So I stopped going over there altogether. Nothing ever came of it. outside of me just being a raging alcoholic that couldn't stop drinking. Fast forward 15 years, got out of the military, was homeless in New York, ended up having to come to Texas, live with my mom. I'm living in our house, finally have a bed, which I was super grateful for. That's why I take a lot of pride in making my bed. I was making my bed before it was cool and the big speech that everybody knows about. Win the day, start by making your bed.
Oh yeah.
I was doing way.
That's gratitude right there. It's one of those things that you take advantage of. It's just even having clean water, or having
you go 3 to 5 months without a bed and a pillow. You learn to take a lot of pride in having a bed and a couple of pillows. So now my bed has 10 pillows. Not because I need 10 pillows, but because I can.
Yeah. Fuck, that's great.
So I can remember coming to, I think it was April 27th of 2011. I'd gone 5 days without drinking or doing anything, no smoking, no coke, nothing. And I wanted to die. And I was on my way to buy a gun because I figured if I just eat a bullet, that's gonna do it. So there I am on my way to the store to get a gun. And the thought into my mind of going to Alcoholics Anonymous, which I had no clue what it was. So I Googled it, got the number, called them up. I'll remember it forever. It was 11:37 in the morning. The lady that answered the phone, God bless her. We open door, how can we help you? I was like, I don't know if you can help, but I want to fucking die. She said, okay, cool. We have a meeting today noon, and we would love to have you. And there was something so powerfully, inviting in the genuine way that this lady that I had never met before said that she would love to have me somewhere. Because I got to the point to where I wasn't welcome anywhere. So I was like, yeah, sure. I'll be right there. Probably going to take more than 23 minutes to get a gun anyway. So off I went, and I've been making meetings ever since.
That's incredible too, because I think right there, you think about the power of one moment in your life, how it can completely change everything, and how that one decision to make that phone call, and what if she didn't answer the phone, right? What if you didn't make the decision to call? It's those things that I think about a lot in my life, in those moments, shit, what if I didn't do that? Where would my life be right now? Because that was back 2011, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you still go?
Yeah, I'm still pretty active. God's blessed me with the opportunity to travel the country and speak at different conferences and share my story, in a more extended way than I just did here. And, let others know that whatever darkness they're in, that there's a way out.
Yeah, and see, what I see in you, Chet, is something really powerful, and it goes into you're taking the crap that happened to you early on in your life. You've been through a lot, you've been through a lot of bullshit that nobody should have to ever go through. But instead of allowing that to be the reason why you don't succeed in life, you're allowing it to empower you, but also you're allowing your story to help inspire other people to get out of the position that you were in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fucking cool. So I want to kind of go into that and talk to you about what you why you do what you do to help others, and what you want to do with that over time. What's your mission? Why do you want to help and create an impact? Because clearly you do.
Mm-hmm. My mission is to have my own family therapy practice, to where I eradicate the stigma that's associated with shame and guilt as it relates to trauma, especially as a man that went through what I went through as a child. It's not discussed nearly as much as it should be. It happens to men just as often, if not more, than it does to women. Not that it diminishes sexual assault to females in any way. It's just not as easy not that it's easy for a female to discuss either. So I'm not trying to like make my situation any more like, oh my god, you poor thing, than anybody that's gone through sexual assault. It's very difficult to discuss, period. But as a man, it's just not as discussed.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely less, we'll call it socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, a lot of men, they want to remain masculine. They don't want to feel like they're weakened.
Exactly.
And they don't want to usually, get in touch with their emotions. And that just literally can destroy your life at the end of the day, because if you're not able to actually face and process these things, then it's gonna eventually surface.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where drugs, alcohol come into play, because a lot of people use those things just to numb the pain because they don't want to deal with that processing,
Absolutely. And then fitness, I mean, tied its way into this, story quite beautifully. I was kind of doing like the bro lifts and, International Chest Day for Monday, and
Absolutely.
back and bars on Tuesday, legs on Wednesday, and, whatever on Thursday, and then like beach day on Friday, and then take the weekend off.
Yep, that is literally the typical bro split, except you were training
Right.
legs, so you weren't an upside down triangle, you actually had some legs to you, huh?
Yeah, and then I got kind of bored with that. It just wasn't as fulfilling. I was just going like out of habit. And then around 5-6 years ago, I found CrossFit, which is funny because I used to talk shit about CrossFit.
Dude,
Same. Like big time. I was making memes. I was like posting on Twitter like that's where gains go to die. Da 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 da.
Man, I did
Well,
the
let me
same
fuck
thing
around and
too. I legit was like, because I used to manage gyms, so I'd be in the corporate gyms, and I'd be like talking shit about CrossFit, like, oh, you don't want to do that bullshit. Like this turf room, that's for all the crazy CrossFit people. Let's go upstairs to the weight room where the real people play. And now here we are.
Yeah, but it was funny because then I did it, and I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what I've been missing.
Yeah, that's literally how CrossFit
And I've been
came into
doing
my
it ever
life.
since.
Yeah.
Yeah. But more on the mission, like, I want to be able to help people because I didn't necessarily have the help as soon as I needed it. I mean, I definitely found it exactly when I was supposed to. I'm a firm believer in, like, everybody has their own path. Everything happens for a reason. I literally had to experience every last moment of every last, like, suicide attempt and, like, failed attempt and, like, failed relationship, all of the pain and the guilt and the shame and just the darkness that I was trapped in for so long. Like, I had to experience every last bit of that in the exact way that I did to get to the point to where I had no choice but to make that phone call that Wednesday morning that led me to the room.
Yeah, I'm the same. I believe everything really does happen for a reason, and there are a lot of moments, horrific moments in our life that we don't understand why they happen, but then usually down the line you look back and you're like, well, if I didn't go through that, then I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I think that a lot about my eating disorder, but also I had a lot of, we'll say, childhood trauma with my father being addicted to Oxycontin and being very abusive to me physically and psychologically. And, in that moment, I was in hell. I tried to kill myself. That's kind of where I got into my eating disorder. I was doing self-harm. And I look back to those times and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I got through that. But I know for a fact that I would not be who I am today without those challenging times. Because if you're able to navigate through that trauma and you're able to find a way through it, you're going to come out the best version of yourself. And every experience that we go through that, puts that challenge on us and makes us question why, it usually is the most powerful and profound moments in our life.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, thank you for sharing that bit with me because, similar there, dealt with body issues and body dysmorphic disorder for nearly 41 years now. It kind of blows people away when I tell them that I'm 41. They're like, "Oh my god, you look so great for your age."
Dude, you look incredible. Like, I didn't even know you were.
And I used to be like, "Yeah, whatever," but now I'm like, "You fucking ain't right, I do." Like, I own it. Like, yes. Not only do I look great for 41, I look great. Period.
Yeah, you look fucking phenomenal.
You know?
Because you're putting in the work. Like, you can't deny that.
Exactly. Yeah, and like we're only just getting started. Like, you know, I was telling Katie, like, was reading her story, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you know, envisioning, you know, elite athlete." I'm like, "Yeah, you and me both. It's absolutely gonna happen. It's not even like an if in my mind. Like, it's more of a when."
Yeah, it's all about, you know, when you put in the work. That's the cool part about life, you know, is that you're always in control of the amount of work and effort that you put into your goals. And I feel like so many people, they don't understand that. They think like, oh, I'm not good enough for greatness, so I'll just kind of settle for this. And that's kind of their own way of saying, I'm too lazy to put in the work that it actually takes to get what I want. You know, and that's why I respect you so much, because like, if I go on your social media, if I went on your Instagram story right now, I would see you putting in the work, and I'd see you leading by example. And you post all the time in not just our Hidden Summit group, but on social media to help show people what the fuck is possible when you actually put in the work. And it's so cool to see that like fitness has been such a huge part of your life after all of that trauma that you went through. Because I know that for me, fitness is like that outlet, right? It's like the best thing that's ever happened to me, because not only do I have a career in it, right, but like it's been a way for me to, you know, get through the tough days, and I'm sure you can relate to that, huh?
Without question. I mean, fitness has been like my mental health muse in a way. You know, it's allowed me to really tap in to mindfulness and cultivating a better contextualization of what exactly God's plan in my life is. And that's to help other people and bridge that gap, to shine light on the darkness in the world. You know, as avid reader, you know, you come to learn that darkness is unaware of the fact that it's dark until the light is shined on it and a shadow is cast. I want to be that shadow for other people. Let them know that they're not in it alone.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I can relate to that, like 100%. Like that's why, you know, I'm working with Hidden Summit, because I know that this is my opportunity to help people. You know, if I can just, even with this podcast, like I don't make money from this podcast. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that. Like people who put out podcasts, like they put out podcasts to get information across or to help people, to spread a mission, to inspire people with stories. Because I'm sure like there's somebody listening to this right now. I'm sure there's many people listening to this right now who are going through a really traumatic time in their life, and they're listening and they're like, well, maybe I can go one more day. Maybe I can get out of this. And if that's what we're able to do for somebody, then this is like 100% worth it. Like,
yeah, with no reservation at all. If this is just one person, and it gives them that last bit of hope, or understanding that they're not alone, because you're not. You know, if you're listening now and you're like, wow, I can kind of relate to that. Good. If you can't relate to it, good.
Yeah. But I feel like everybody can relate in their own way. Like maybe they didn't go through the same thing, but everybody's been through shit. Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, will go through shit. Like I know that like my life's not going to be perfect. Like every day, you know, there are going to be challenging times, and there are going to be really horrific things that happen. But I know that because I've gone through a lot and been able to overcome a lot, that I'll be stronger for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I kind of wanted to ask you, because I know that, you know, you've been a part of First Form for a bit. Like, how did you initially find First Form?